Hello and welcome to the third annual March to the Madness. My name is Cody Delmendo. I'm happy to be here with a familiar face, third-year host Ryan Gibbons. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. I'm ready for another year of March to the Madness. I'm pumped. I think it's going to be the best year yet.
Yeah, no, I know I'm new. It's my first year, March Madness was canceled last year. Luckily, we still had March to the Madness, but it's nice this year that we have both back.
Absolutely. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we're definitely happy. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we have regular March Madness this year. But I mean, March to the Madness was a great substitute last year, and it definitely kept at least me entertained. So.
Yeah, no, I think having them both back together now is just kind of, we get the best of both worlds. We get a little bit of, of everything. So as everyone can see, we're here on Zoom, and we're doing a little different this year. Hopefully next year we can do it back at Lavier Memorial Temple. But for this time being, we'll do it on Zoom. So if you're ready, Ryan, we can dive into this bracket.
I don't think we should keep them waiting any longer.
Okay. Do you want to start with your top one?
Yeah, we'll break down the Devotee region here. The first thing that sticks out to me, of course, is the number one overall seed for the first time since we launched the tournament. It's not Oklahoma. However, they still reside in the same state. It's going to be Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, wow, what a showing they had in the opening round. The last 2 years, first year, they started off as a 16 seed, lost to Oklahoma in the first round. Last year, also lost to Oklahoma as an 8 seed in the second round. So I think this opening round here, I think they decided they're tired of losing to Oklahoma, and they went out and took that number one overall seed. So I'm really excited to see what they can do. Interesting first round matchups. We got Western Carolina versus North Dakota State. Everyone's familiar with Western Carolina. They've been to the Final Four both years so far. They're the 5 seed this year, 12 seed North Dakota State. Of course, that's a staff rivalry, Grant Maris versus Kevin Gath. I think both of them are going to be very excited for that. We're going to see some fireworks from that one. And, potential Cinderella, I think, the winner of that matchup easily, could have a chance in the Sweet 16 against Oklahoma State and maybe make a run at this thing. So I'm very excited to see that. What about you in the Kerr region?
Yeah, like you kind of mentioned about Oklahoma State, they don't have to face Oklahoma. But they are the number one seed in my region here, and they, back-to-back champions. I think they deserve to be where they're at. And I have them I think everyone would have them as a huge favorite in this tournament. Moving down in the section, I mean, we got Maryland, who went deep last year. Salem State. Sorry, I think they went pretty far in the first year of the tournament, but not so much last year. I'm thinking they could be possibly a nice Cinderella story against Richmond. That's a 6-11 matchup.
The original Cinderella.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, there you go. So, like I said, Oklahoma and Maryland, they faced off before. So, we got a potential rematch in the Elite Eight with those two. I don't, if there's anything else you'd like to add to that, but I think it's a very intriguing part of the bracket, but it's going to be tough to get past Oklahoma if any of these other schools want to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Maryland's probably itching to get that rematch in the Elite Eight. I think there's a couple interesting teams in that bracket, but of course, it's hard to put anybody but Oklahoma going forward. But you never know.
Never know.
Next, we'll move to the Cockrell region. Indiana is back for their third consecutive year as being a 1 seed. But a lot of people are asking, can this be the year they finally make it to that first Final Four? They've been eliminated early the last 2 years. So I think they kind of have a chip on their shoulder. They're determined to make that Final Four this year. Indiana State is a 4 seed, Cinderella from last year. They found their glass slipper again, or at least hoping to. But they're a 4 seed this year, so not quite the underdog story. But I think they're already looking forward to that Sweet 16 matchup against Indiana. they're using that eliminate. Indiana's been eliminated early the last 2 years, and I think they have a chance to do that. They consider a rivalry. I'm not sure if Indiana does the same, but maybe they can make it a rivalry here in March to the Madness. As far as any other teams, we do have Western Kentucky as a 3 seed in this region. They've gone Elite Eight and Sweet 16 the last 2 years. Been eliminated by Kentucky both years, so I think they're probably going to be happy to see Kentucky in a different region this year. So I mean, and as a 2 seed, I'm interested to see what DePaul does. 2 seed out of nowhere. They have a lot of potential, so I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, there's always they even though they're a high seed, they're not they don't have a lot of experience, but you know there's still not a team you could sleep on. So I mean, I would watch out, but they could potentially face Milliken, the 10 seed who went pretty far last year. I think that could be a little bit of a trap game, maybe thinking ahead if they don't perform against Northern Iowa in that first matchup.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you think about that Foster region?
Well, I have to point out my alma mater, Eastern Illinois, first year in the tournament at the 13 seed going up against in-state Loyola. It's intriguing. I'm just happy we're here. I think that's how the feeling is for us EIU Panthers. But as far as the other schools, Kentucky was in the Final Four last year, I believe. They got 2 seed against LSU, which I don't believe they were in the tournament last year. So that, not as, we got an SEC rivalry, but at the same time, I think it's pretty chalk. I think Kentucky has a really nice road to the Final Four. As far as the top part of that part of the bracket, I mean, Youngstown State, number 1 seed, they've gone pretty far in these first 2 years. We kind of talked about Winthrop before we started recording, and they might for this part of the bracket, I have them kind of as a sleeper as a 5 seed going up against Alabama Birmingham in the first round. um yeah, I think a lot of these matchups are intriguing. Central Michigan, Western Michigan, they got the victory cannon, as they like to call it, between those schools. I think a lot of them are intriguing, but it'll be fun to see it all play out.
Absolutely. Congratulations for you guys finally making the tournament. Sometimes that's all it takes. Is a little bit of excitement and just being in the tournament. Anything can happen. I mean,
Exactly.
we talked about them earlier. What about that Cinderella Salem State? They certainly didn't expect to go all the way to the championship their first year, and they did. I mean, they really got into it, rallied behind, and they have a small alumni base, and anybody can do it. That's why it's madness. Anything can happen. Um,
Exactly.
as far as kind of talking about this region, rumor has it one of the own LMT staff members helped create the victory cannon. So I bet he's going to be really excited to see that matchup here come
Hmm.
reveal. As far
That
as
should be interesting.
Oh yeah, I do think I'm already looking forward to that Kentucky Youngstown rematch, but there are definitely some intriguing teams in this bracket. And I think, to be honest, I think it's the one I'm most excited for. So
All right. Well, do you want to move on to our Elite Eight picks and so forth?
I do. So I'll start with in the Devotee region. I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm mostly chalk.
Mhm.
And once again, as a disclaimer, come March Madness pool time, I would definitely not go chalk like this. But for the purposes of this, I am going chalk. I've got Oklahoma State over North Dakota in the Devotee region. North Dakota is a team that's also they can kind of sympathize with Oklahoma State. They've been eliminated by Oklahoma the last 2 years, but I think they're also going to be excited to not see Oklahoma in their region. And I think they're a strong team, and I think they're going to go to the Elite Eight here. But I do think Oklahoma State's determined this year to get a rematch with Oklahoma in the Final Four, which takes me to down to Kerr, and I do have Oklahoma over Maryland in a rematch from last year's Elite Eight. And then Cockrell, I do think Indiana finally gets their first Final Four. I think like I said, they've got a chip on their shoulder and they're ready to make that first Final Four appearance. I think they've been waiting all year. Um, so I do have them over DePaul. And like I said, I don't know what to expect from DePaul from this tournament, but obviously I'm expecting good things. I have them in the Elite Eight. And then I do have Kentucky Youngstown rematch in the Foster region. But this year I think Kentucky gets some revenge, and I think they make the Final Four once again. You want to talk about your Elite Eight picks, and we can move on to the Final Four.
Yeah. So we'll start with the top of the bracket on the left side. Um, I like Oklahoma State and Kansas State to face off in the Elite Eight. I picked Kansas State as kind of a maybe possibly a Cinderella. They're 7th seed going up against Baylor. This is a very a big school with a big of alumni base. I don't believe they were in the tournament last year. Maybe this is the year they kind of shock some people. Um, you know, I think that it's a possibility. We'll see. Uh, but the road there to me just doesn't seem as hard for them, and that's why I kind of like that as at least a potential Elite Eight matchup. Moving down, I like Oklahoma and Maryland, just like you in the Elite Eight, and then so I guess that's where we are the same. And then moving to the other side of the bracket, top right, I what do I have? I love Indiana State and Millikan. Indiana State Cinderella last year, and then like I kind of mentioned earlier, Millikan they went kind of far last year, made it, I think it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but
Did anybody influence you to make that decision with picking Indiana State here?
no one influenced me. Believe it or not, no one influenced me. I just,
All right.
when I like to take the teams that just kind of get hot at the right time. And Indiana State last year got hot at the right time. And I think Milken has more to prove as well. So that's why I'm going to roll with those two schools. And then in the bottom part, I what do I have here? I have Winthrop, I believe. Yeah, I got Winthrop in my Final Four, and I got Kentucky, or not Final Four, Elite Eight. I got Winthrop, and then I got Kentucky in the Elite Eight. So yeah, I think Kentucky's pretty chalk. Winthrop, like I said earlier, kind of a a toss up. We'll see. I know that the seeding. I think they're not so happy with that seeding. So I'm liking them to kind of show out and see what they can do and prove some people wrong. So yeah. Shall we do some Final Four?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see Winthrop. I mean, they had a very strong opening round. They seem determined. And it's meant to be seen what if Youngstown State comes out strong again like they did last year. Final Four. This is gonna shock some people. I think Oklahoma State's been waiting a long time for this. They kind of showed it already in the opening round. I think Oklahoma State comes here and they knock off the two-time defending champion Oklahoma in the Final Four. So I
Ooh,
have, yeah, I have
all
the
right.
I have the Cowboys in the championship. On the other side, who's going to be facing them? I think blue blood actual college basketball rivalry. We got the Hoosiers and we got the Wildcats. Um, I don't think we'll be seeing that matchup come real March Madness this year, but in our March to the Madness, it's a great rivalry. And I don't think Kentucky gets over the hump. I think Indiana takes down Kentucky for their third straight Final Four loss. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've picked Kentucky to win the last 2 years, and they've really let me down the last 2 years. I just can't pick them here. So maybe they'll prove me wrong. We'll see. But I've got the Cowboys and Hoosiers in the championship game. What about you?
Oh, okay. So I think we're kind of similar, except I'm not gonna go against Oklahoma. They've performed when it mattered most. These first 2 years. So I do like them to go up against Oklahoma State, however, in the Final Four, but for Oklahoma to move on. And then on the other side, like I said, I had Millikan or Indiana State, which are they're not the top seeds, so it's kind of a toss up. I'll go with Millikan and I'll take Kentucky to beat them and go to the final game against Oklahoma. So we got an Oklahoma and Kentucky national championship. It's kind of chalk at the end. A lot different at the beginning, but chalk at the end. I feel
Yeah.
like I do this in regular March Madness as well.
I mean, that's how it usually goes. The cream usually rises to the top, and when it gets down to the nitty gritty. I'm just going to warn you that was my championship prediction the last 2 years. So just letting you know, they're probably going to let you down. Might break your heart. I don't know.
Well, I'm
Uh,
used to getting my heart broken a lot when it comes to sports, so it's okay, man.
hey, me too. I root for Tennessee sports. So, uh, in the championship, and I also will say that I was not influenced to make the decision, but I think Oklahoma State, I think the Cowboys, the game beating Oklahoma would be like their championship. So I think we're going to see a little bit of letdown in the championship game from them, and I think the Hoosiers take it all this year. So that's what I got. I think be a great matchup. I'd love to see it. Um,
Yeah, that is fun. That's fun. Like I said, I'm gonna roll with Oklahoma for the third straight year. Just not gonna go against it. I kind of had that mistake betting against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Taking the other team against the guy who had 6 Super Bowl rings. I'm not going to do that for this. Not this time. I'm going to take who's been the best over the last 2 years. I'll take Oklahoma to beat Kentucky in the national championship. So
I don't think
um,
anyone's going to fault you for that.
yeah. So like I said, we're different at the beginning, but we're chalk at the end. I think it's a formula for success. We'll see how it goes. So good luck to you and your bracket. Good luck to my bracket. Anyone else out there with a bracket, good luck to you.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys from the next round.
Sounds good.